Today, I'm joined by the Alpha Arcade team. These guys have been crushing it on Algorand and beyond with the predictions platform that they have built. These guys launched in early 2025 and very similar. I mean, right now we've got the Super Bowl this weekend, but the Super Bowl was essentially the beta, and they've quickly become Algorand's breakout application. Nothing here is financial advice, obviously, but Max, welcome back. Tell us where we're at right now and how kind of full circle is it that you guys just launched a year ago with the Super Bowl, and where are you guys at now?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's exciting. We launched our beta at the last Super Bowl. I remember being there with Mark, my co-founder, and it was probably the Super Bowl that I enjoyed the least because there were bugs popping up. We were trying to make sure everything went perfectly. It didn't, but we got a lot of feedback and we were able to iterate very fast. And so I'm hoping this Super Bowl we can be a bit more relaxed. The volume will be a lot higher, but that's kind of been ingrained in my memory because we pushed so hard to get the beta out before the Super Bowl. It's such a large event, and you're always supposed to launch your product before it's really ready. Like if you're not embarrassed by your first product launch, you waited too long. So it was a really fun experience, but I'm excited to maybe watch the game a little bit more this time around.
Yeah, I'm sure it was crazy town, kind of going in open beta with with last year's Super Bowl. There's been a lot to kind of watch. I mean, you guys are one of the more interesting platforms across all of these different networks, at least for me, because I always see a lot of positive momentum from the community, number one. And I certainly probably have seen a ton of milestones from your guys' end. Which milestones from Alpha Arcade standpoint stick out the most to you over the past year from where you were at to where you're at right now?
We just passed 15 million in total transaction volume, with the majority of that actually coming in the last few months. So it's been really exciting to really see the uptick in really just the number of users, the people making predictions. We were third in the total number of transactions, weekly transactions amongst all prediction markets a few weeks ago, which was very exciting. And I think a lot of this comes on top of the fact that we're now allowing people to make predictions with cards, Apple Pay, and a bunch of different cryptos. Up until a few months ago, you could only make predictions with USDC on Algorand. And so naturally, we built this product with the Algorand community, which again is a big community, but there are a lot more people that are looking to use prediction markets. And so we were able to work closely with this community, iterate the product, and really just build something that we're extremely proud of at this point, where it's fully functional, it's works seamlessly, and we just added the ability for people to launch their own markets. You can actually come on, you can create your own market, you can provide liquidity, and that's always been the goal, to really create this decentralized prediction market where, again, people launch their own markets. We have the alpha token where you get rewarded from trading fees on the platform. You get USDC airdrops from holding alpha. And so we've really created this flywheel where people holding the alpha token naturally want to use the product, and people that are using the product want to hold the alpha token because they're essentially getting rebates on the fees they're paying for trades. So we make absolutely nothing from fees. Everything goes back to the actual holders of alpha, which we think is really exciting. It's really a community-driven project, and we haven't seen anything else like this with the other prediction markets.
Yeah, you mentioned, and I think this is obviously, you could probably take any platform across the blockchain landscape. Ease of onboarding, on-ramps and off-ramps into the space are just so critical no matter where you're at. And yeah, maybe expand a little bit on some of the aspects that you guys have really focused on to make that process easier. And not only with Apple Pay and things like that, but are there other kind of wallet platforms across the multi-chain landscape that you guys have opened up?
Yeah, and for a bit of context, myself and Mark and Jerry, we also founded Lofty, which is currently the largest tokenized real estate marketplace. And for the last 4 years, we've had to really figure out how to onboard traditional real estate folks onto a crypto platform, which is arguably one of the harder things to do. I think Web3 is still suffering from difficult onboarding experiences, poor user interfaces, and really just terrible user experiences. So we had to go through this entire process with Lofty the hard way. And so when we started Alpha Arcade, we had that blueprint and we really knew what we needed to do to make that onboarding experience seamless. So right now you can use a card, you can deposit funds from your bank, you can use Apple Pay, you can very shortly you'll be able to connect like Metamask and Phantom and use other cryptos to make predictions. And that was really always the goal, again, is to make the onboarding process smooth. And just to repeat myself, this has been, in my opinion, the one thing that's been preventing mainstream from coming onto really these Web3 platforms. Even people from other chains, like our product used to only accept USDC on Algorand to make predictions. And in order to do that, you needed to have a para wallet, which is fantastic. It's a great wallet. But if someone is coming over from Solana or a Bitcoin Maxi or a Polygon, they will just not want to create another wallet, right? It's just something people in crypto don't do. They have their wallets. They don't want another one. They don't want these private keys. And it's just something they won't do. And the drop-off rate is just absurd. And so for us, we knew this is something we'd have to do at the very beginning, improve the onboarding process. And right now it's at a point where we're really comfortable with anyone coming onto the product and being able to use it very easily and seamlessly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've made progress and are continuing to make progress on the ability to, I mean, I kind of look at adoption in a way where like people are literally going to be using websites the same way, same exact way they are right now. Which kind of leads us into, like, I think you mentioned it, people want to use what they're comfortable with and they want to use whatever assets they're comfortable with as well. You think that's kind of the future that we're headed towards, is like, look, you know, from Alpha Arcade standpoint, I'm assuming that you guys will want to be able to accept whatever anybody wants to use. Yeah. It's just the process of us getting there. Is that kind of the future that you see us heading toward?
Yeah, totally. Our thesis has always been, like, for Lofty and Alpha Arcade, we're built on the blockchain. We're built on Algorand. There's no reason for anyone to know that that's the case, right? All the blockchain does is make the product more efficient and seamless. And we want people to use the product and say, wow, that was a great user experience, not knowing that great user experience is a result of being built on the blockchain. And so, you know, someone coming in that's never used crypto before, they have a card, Apple Pay, they should be able to use the product and say, oh, wow, that was easy. It was just like, you know, putting money into my Fidelity account and buying a stock or using Robinhood. So yeah, that's always been the goal. And that's the way that, you know, Web3 really does become more mainstream, in my opinion.
I'm interested to see how individuals, I know we have a big announcement, or you guys have, the big announcement surrounding the Super Bowl, which we'll get to in a second. You mentioned that people can launch their own markets right now. I think that's going to be really interesting. Yeah. I don't know if we get the full picture of what that looks like until I feel like it's going to be one of those things that once it takes off, it's going to probably really take off, because like I just remember, you know, you don't see them that much now, but on Twitter and on X, people used to, like a few years ago, always do the polls. Like you used to see polls all the time, and it was like, yeah, but who's really, you know, you never kind of knew who was participating. I feel like there's a huge gamification factor. I think bigger accounts, like, I don't know, influencers, whatever, probably have a real opportunity to like use prediction markets in a way that makes sense. What does that process to you look like, though? Like, does this exist on other prediction markets out there? How do people leverage that right now? Which ones gain traction?
I don't believe it exists on other prediction markets. I could be wrong. This is a very new feature. We launched this in the past week, but it just kind of builds on top of what people are really used to, like a group of friends, for example, playing a game of basketball or playing Madden, right? It's very common for them to be arguing about who's going to win. Maybe they make a bet with each other. Right now, they can easily just launch a market on Alpha Arcade, and maybe there's 5 people watching them play basketball. They can all make predictions on who might win, right? So it kind of moves down into like the social aspect, where you can now make predictions on certain social events that maybe only your friend group is aware of. Or for example, maybe there's a geopolitical market that we haven't launched that you might think is interesting. You can now launch that market and you earn up to 40% of the fees that that market generates by just creating that market. And so obviously it's going to be very power law heavy. The majority of the user created markets are, I don't know what the best way to say this, just kind of going to be crap, just people messing around. And we're kind of building a way for alpha token holders to be the ones that actually approve the markets, and they're rewarded alpha for, kind of contributing to the ecosystem. So it's still very early, but we see this as, a very important aspect of this platform moving forward.
Doesn't that almost become then a way for the users of your platform to test out new features and markets without you really having to do much work? That seems like a brilliant, you know what I mean?
That's always been the goal. And that's the entire, I think, in my opinion, that's the best part about building a product in like in Web3 or crypto, especially if you have your own token. And again, we spent a lot of time making sure that, one, there was a reason to even launch a token. Like, we didn't just launch a token to launch a token. We spent a lot of time on the tokenomics, where people that hold alpha, they're the ones getting the trading fees. There's ways to earn alpha. But again, if people hold your token, they're responsible, right? They are invested in your company, and they feel like they're a part of the company and the team, which in reality they are. And so they're going to be requesting features. They're going to be launching interesting markets. They're going to be gathering feedback for us. And they're the ones really helping to build this product because they have this skin in the game. And so one of our goals is, again, to open source the product and allow a lot of these alpha holders to continue contributing. And that just allows you to build this entire team of people without having to raise a ton of venture capital and debt, which for any startup is the dream.
So tell us what's going on with the Super Bowl is Sunday.
Yeah.
You guys launched in beta with last year's Super Bowl. Tell us what's going on with the Super Bowl this Sunday.
Yeah, we're super excited for the 1 year anniversary. We're doing a huge giveaway. We're going to post the details very soon, but essentially, if you make a very small prediction, you are entered into a giveaway to win up to $100 in free predictions on Alpha Arcade. And this could be for any market. I think most people will be looking at the Super Bowl markets. We have some interesting ones, like what color will the Gatorade shower be at the end of the game? Will Bad Bunny say "fuck ice" at halftime? That's been a pretty popular one. The coin toss, the first team to score. Will there be overtime? So there's a bunch of unique markets. And then again, we have users submitting their own Super Bowl markets as well. So we're excited to see everything that comes about, within the next 3 to 4 days by the time the Super Bowl starts.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I would love if you tell us what you're looking forward to for kind of the near term, which is this year. I will preface, and I say this all the time, but last year I think we heard a lot of people. Well, I saw a lot of people saying like, this time is different for crypto. It's like. Mm-hmm. It feels like that because there's been so much actual adoption. Like, it really did feel like, okay, well, that might be correct. But like, here we kind of are right now. And we're in a situation where obviously there's been more real world adoption than we've ever had in the past, 9 to 16, 18 months. But still, I mean, I think what we see is very consistent with prior, I don't know if I'll say cycle or whatever I say. Mm-hmm. Builders continue building and platforms continue getting better. And then stuff kind of kicks back into place and like the equilibrium kind of happens again. But what are you excited about for 2026 moving forward? Whether it be through Lofty, Alpha, Arcade, Algorand, the wider space.
Yeah. I think in general, it just goes back to platforms continuing to improve the onboarding process. And again, making it so people not in crypto don't even know that they're using a quote unquote crypto product. Everything runs on chain in the background. They just think it's a nice user experience. And that's the dream. We have people on Lofty that have been using the product for a while and they still really don't even know it's on the blockchain, right? It's just a smooth experience. So until we can really get that right, and I think we're improving, especially with AI and all the advancements, just making it easier for, I guess you could say, normies to use these crypto products. That's the way that these companies grow. And I think there have been examples of companies really pulling it off. Like Polymarket, I would say, is probably one of the bigger ones. I think there's a lot of people using Polymarket that don't know that it's on Polygon.
Yeah.
Again, it's just easy to onboard your funds and use the product. And again, with Lofty and what we're trying to do here with Alpha Arcade, just making that simple. And I think if we could do that, that's going to be the catalyst that really grows the Web3 community in general, I would say.
Yeah, well, I want to definitely say congrats to you guys achieving kind of the 15 million mark. And I'm assuming that's kind of like a snowball effect. As you mentioned, a lot of that just happening over the past few months. That's a huge achievement. And coming from launching an open beta on Super Bowl during the Super Bowl last year to this year, it's been awesome to watch your guys' journey. If you guys want to learn more about Alpha Arcade, give these guys a follow at Alpha Arcade and alphaarcade.com. A huge shout out to the Algorand Foundation for helping to make these podcasts possible. And Max, don't be a stranger. I'm sure we'll be doing this again in a few months. And thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Appreciate it.